Hello and welcome to the Southbound Sports Show. I'm your host, Richie Leahy, here with my co-host, Matty B. And the offseason for the NFL is officially here. We also have some college news because they're doing the conference meetings, I guess, for the playoffs. So we'll check in on that a little bit later. And just some other random stuff going through with like NBA, WNBA, and the NHL. What do they call that? 4 countries. Did you watch that?
No.
So I watched it on Saturday, and I think I watched the first one. I've been watching the United States. I don't know what they're like. I don't know who came up with this idea where they just pick 4 countries. I don't even know if that's what it's called. 4 nations. They picked 4 countries that have a big enough pool of players that play in the NHL. And is it replacing the All-Star weekend? I don't even know. They just said that this. I tried to research it, and this is my thought on it. And I bring it up because we talked about the Pro Bowl a couple weeks ago. But it was almost like they were told by the TV networks, no one's watching the All-Star game. Like, we're not going to put it on major network television. And they said, well, we want to get a higher contract. And they're like, well, you need to have, if you want more money for the All-Star weekend or mid-season tournament or whatever, do something off the wall. So they created this tournament. It's United States, Canada, Finland, and Sweden. How they picked those 4 countries, I don't know. Because I saw someone saying that Russia had enough players. And there was one other one, but I can't remember what it was. So they could have had 6, but of course you can't do that in the tournament. So they did. Every team played each other. The United States won, beat Finland, I think, and then they beat Canada on Saturday. But I bring it up because the game started and it was just 3 fights in a row. Like, I kid you not, the first 10 seconds were 3 fights. First, as soon as the game started, United States and Canada fought. 2 guys.
That's right. I did see that because that was like preemptively, you want to boo during the national anthem, and then they just got the maple syrup beat out of them.
Yeah, I saw people were like, oh, it's nothing about the nations. It's about they wanted to fight for a while. And I'm like, they wanted to fight for a while? Like, who are these people? And then the next one, he's like, I got you next. And then they had 3 fights. And then the United States won. One of the United States guys is injured. I can't remember who it was who got injured. But we play Canada now for the championship on Thursday. And I'll be honest, that Saturday game were both on ABC, I think. I can't remember what the first ones were on. Last night's games were on a different network. And I don't know if it was like HBO or whatever, but it seems like it worked. For whatever reason, they were able to get this iteration of hockey on national television. And I think it worked out. I went back and listened to some of our Pro Bowl podcasts, and I saw some people were like, they weren't commenting, but they were liking it or whatever. And I thought, I don't even know if I feel confident after that show that I expressed enough, because it made it seem like since I didn't watch it, I missed out. And they did have high scoring because it was more like whoever won the skills got points, and then they played a flag football game. But at that point, who cares? They're trying to make flag football something that isn't football. And it would be like going to a boxing match and they're like, hey, oh my gosh, we got Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson. And you get there and they're sumo wrestling. And you're like, what? To me, that's what the NFL is doing with the flag football stuff.
No. I think a closer analogy would be like, you could have Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali fight, but they're not going to. We have these 5th and 6th ranked guys instead that we're going to showcase as our top tier guys.
So you're saying like a Jake Paul and Mike Tyson?
Yeah, and an old Mike Tyson.
And they're not sumo wrestling; they're mud wrestling.
No, they're Jello wrestling because they're just eating snacks in the middle. But it's like the way the Pro Bowl used to work was that it was the best players from the AFC and NFC, and now there's so many guys that just opt out of it that you end up with why do you have, like, you look at some of the people that are making the Pro Bowl, it's like, are you really a Pro Bowl caliber player?
I mean, I think that the Pro Bowl term, when I hear a guy, because I saw someone, I don't know if it was, I can't remember who I was talking to. It was a fan of like a smaller college trying to make fun of Michigan, saying like something about Michigan doesn't have as many Pro Bowlers. And I thought, what does that even mean? Like, do you care about Pro Bowls, dude? First off, that's nothing to do with the college. And then it's just the Pro Bowls seem like they're just picking whoever wants to play. Am I wrong?
Yeah,
So like, why would I care?
Like you have to be good-ish and then hope that the top 5 guys at your position decide not to play.
Dude, it's like I try to talk to some people that are really into like the Oscars and what's the other one? There's a Grammys. And they're like heavily invested and they're upset that like their favorite album didn't win. And I'm like, dude, it's the internet age. You know that this is just a marketing promotion tool. Like they're just picking the biggest, whatever the album companies want. That's what they're picking. Like the Oscars have been proven. I think that's the movie one, right? Because I think Academy Awards, or maybe Academy Awards is the movies. I don't know. But at this point with the internet, you don't need any of those fake award shows. Just like I don't need a fake Pro Bowl. I know, especially with fantasy football, I think people are closer to the players than ever. Like, you know, if a guy's a bum because you had him on your team all year and you hate him. And then I see him winning the Pro Bowl and it's like, get out of here, fool. Give me a guy that really cares about the game, like AB.
Like when they tell me Mike Evans is a first ballot Hall of Famer, I'm like, I want to punch people.
They left my man Eli off. I was baffled. And then I didn't even know that Sterling Shepard was it Shannon Sharp or which one? He's Shannon Sharp's brother.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Sterling Sharp. How would I ever know that? I was like, I didn't even know because I mean Shannon Sharp is loud. He's like involved in a bunch of incidents at work and on camera. His tapes, did you see those?
I did not.
You're on X a lot. I figured.
Oh, actually, I did. That's why my phone broke.
Yeah, they got you. They know you're watching that at work.
Yeah, that's the only time I watch it.
So, yeah, like they're putting people in that Sterling Sharp played way before Shannon Sharp, I thought, right? Maybe I'm getting my years mixed up, but I thought he played for the Packers like in the early 90s. And then Shannon Sharp was like, what, late 90s?
Yeah, into the 2000s because he was on there with Elway.
Why are they still putting Hall of Famers in from like that long ago? And then you're also putting guys in that just retired, like what, Tom Brady would be in.
But I feel like there's like, I thought that there was like categories of X number of players from this era get voted in. Like they try to have like a representation across some of the guys that are like newly eligible.
I don't know.
I thought that was a thing.
The baseball thing is like what? You only get so many turns and then you're donezo. Unless they bring you back for like a legacy award because they realize like looking at your stats like, oh no, maybe he was pretty good with modern whatever. Because that's what I'm wondering. Like, I honestly don't care about any Hall of Fame. And even like my dad taking me to one of them, I can't remember which one we went to, but it's like a family thing. Like, hey, dad takes their kids. And now it's like, do you really want to? You go to a game and get price gouged. And then, what, not want to come back? Because if you go to one game, you get on their mailing list. And I assume the Hall of Fame's like the same. Hey, what can we do to get you back? It's like, dude, make it fun. What's like the going back through and it's like, yeah, I watched so-and-so play. Weren't that good, but they're in here. I watched Eli Manning play. He should be in. He's not yet. He probably will be in though. Because his dad in? I don't even think his dad's in. Maybe I'm wrong. He's from so long ago. I don't know. But Peyton's in. And he's painting Manning. He paints now or whatever the other commercial is. He has time to do that. But I don't know. You're a coach. Do you think they're just scared of people not wanting to play football anymore?
I think there's so much more. Like I feel like that because of everything, it's driven around the money and the do I want to play in a meaningless, like almost like the Pro Bowl has become what we look at some of the non-playoff college football games. Like, do you want to go and put yourself at risk of being injured for like a watch in the nobody.com bowl? Do you want to hurt yourself in the Pro Bowl for a meaningless game that, maybe you get like some kind of contract incentive for playing, but like, is it worth ruining the rest of your career over playing in like a meaningless game?
I mean, there's the NHL fixed it. You can't do that in the NFL though. The countries would be like, you could do it by conference. If they did a Big Ten alum versus SEC alum, if they end up having just two big conferences and then did it that way. But then would the players even care about that though? Probably not. Right? Maybe. But the country one in hockey, they fight. Like they actually fought in a meaningless game. And the NBA tried to do that with that midseason tournament that was like horrible execution. And I hate it. And now they really can't get rid of it. But I wonder, like, dude, do they regret? They could have did something like this where they could have had regions, like a West, an East team, and then like a team from Europe, and then a team from like whatever, and did it in midseason tournament like that. And did it all like in the same day. Or like, I mean, hockey spread theirs out over a week, but it's sponsored by the NHL, was on the NHL logo. So I think the NBA has to be kicking themselves. What better way to have like to expand the game than have like an Asian all-star team in the middle of the country? Do they have enough for people from like Australia? You could have had 8 teams. I feel like you only need 5 guys. How many guys? Like they have enough for the Olympics. Like I think Kyrie Irving's trying to get Australia on his like thing for the Olympics. The NFL can't really do that though. Like they don't have the international type stuff that hockey and basketball do. But I
think it would be a little bit easier for sports like hockey and basketball to do because you don't need as many players or as specialized players like you do for football.
That's why I think they should do college versus whatever pro guys want to play. Because they're already putting Jared Goff has won nothing, right? The Lions get eliminated from the playoffs. He was like the MVP. That's why I brought him up for the Pro Bowl. What if he played the seniors coming in? And they used to do it in the NFL. The college all-stars beat one of those NFL teams back in the day, I thought. Now people would argue and say like, no, it's way different now. These guys are like, they really care about the game. Do they? I mean, I'm telling you, if you have a bunch of seniors playing and they have to play their heart out, because like the Senior Bowl right now is more of like a glorified scrimmage, but you're still going to have guys on that senior team that aren't going to really make it in the NFL. And that's where I was going with it. I probably didn't articulate it. But if you want an engaging game, look at the hockey example. You have guys, they have to play. They're playing for country. Like Sid Crosby looks old and slow out there, again, like on their all-star team. Compared to like, was it McDavid? It's like they have guys out there going crazy, but they're playing. So like even if he's out there and he's a step slow, it's still Sid Crosby on Canada that the United States has to take out. So they have the best playing, and they're caring enough to fight each other 3 times when the game started. And now we have a rematch in the finals. The NHL has to be loving this because they're like, we can get this set up like Miracle on Ice, and they're like comparing it to like the Olympics and things like that. The NFL can't really do that, but if you had a bunch of guys in college that are playing for a roster spot, you take 2 meaningless games, the Pro Bowl, and the Senior Bowl or whatever, and you just have bill it as like the college all-stars. If some guys like Marvin Harrison, remember he was going through that NFLPA dispute, he doesn't want to play in the college all-star game on the college all-star team, who cares? Like, there's got to be the best receiver in the Big 12 or something that can be represented, right? Who was the guy this year that was MVP of that game? It was like when his brother was one of the ones that died in New Orleans. So who knows who's going to step up? That's probably the last game he'll be like a big time star in, right? Unless something changes. I doubt he's projected to go high in the draft. But what if the college beat the pros? Would that be enough to get people to watch? I mean, 12 beatdowns in a row, people would tune out. But give it a go. Give it a go. If it's competitive, even if the All-Stars don't win, it would be like you brought up the bowl game matchups. Some of those are meaningless, but the smaller conference teams usually always show up because they have to. That's like their Super Bowl. So for some of these college guys, you're getting rid of the fluff. You're getting rid of the guys that are afraid to get hurt. The NFL has guys that are playing. Maybe it's for money, whatever, but they probably don't want to be embarrassed, right? So to me, I think I would rather see a real game. I think the NHL is working. I think what the NHL put together has worked. I bet the NBA is jealous right now because they could have thought of that first and then tried to split it up by regions or something. Heck, they could have did conference. I mean, there's too many college basketball conferences, but like you could have did a Midwest conference, a Southeast, and then a Canadian team, a European team, maybe a German team. I don't know. They could have did something.
But I'm almost wondering if they cut it a little bit, cut the roster sizes down, and just did it like an arena style, where it's like a center and guards, where like you can still have some elements of a running game. Like that may be a showcase of
like an 8-man,
something like that, where like you're still having your highlight. Like it's a little bit more than a glorified like flag game, but there's still elements of the like an authentic game.
I thought they tried to do that with helmets and pads, but no tackling. Are you wanting tackling?
I would say have it be tackle.
Because I think that's what they tried to do. They tried to do a slimmed down version a couple years ago, but if I remember correctly, they weren't doing tackle, or it was like it was almost like a spring game. Like if the quarterback was going to get hit, they blew the whistle, and so there was like some shenanigans like that, which I get. You don't want these guys getting hurt, but that's why I said like let them opt in. Russell Wilson has something to prove. Like they're already talking about bringing in other Steelers quarterbacks. I saw a pitch from Stephen A. I didn't send this to you, where he wants Aaron Rodgers to go to Pittsburgh.
No. Aggressively, no.
He would be the perfect guy for you.
No, the perfect guy is out there. He's interested. You just have to sign him.
I thought he was working in the booth these days.
Because he's waiting for the Rooneys to call his agent and bring him in.
Big Jameis.
We could have. There's already promotions built in with signing him that are right there.
What? Permani's brother now with crab on top?
Absolutely.
Crab and coleslaw? Or whatever they call it. That would be horrendous.
You could be eating crab legs.
Anything with coleslaw is awful. So if you put crab on it, blah, I don't think that could redeem it. If you had a sandwich with just fries and crab and some type of like...
Or maybe just crab fries. There you go. Done.
They could do like some type of
Delicious.
Philly cheese on there, bro. I'd be down for that. But that's more... People from Pittsburgh don't like Philly. So I don't know about that. Plus they're Super Bowl champs. You bring in Jameis, he got to give the people what they want. I would be for them doing like a, was it the Red Wings? They used to throw stuff on the ice. Like what if they score and Pittsburgh guys just threw a bunch of crab like legs down on the field?
I don't think people weren't throwing crab legs on the field.
The shells, dude. You don't need them to be full of meat and expensive. Red Lobster would give you the shells for free.
See, the marketing is already there. You're on board. I know you are.
I mean, I wouldn't pick them up. Like after the game, everyone's like legs are all cut up. They're like, yeah, because people keep throwing crab legs down there. They picking those shells up in between plays. They could have like he could run out with like Ray-Bans on, dude. Rec specs, like real big, thick glasses. I don't know.
Like Horace Grant.
And then he pops them off, and there's like an ad for LASIK behind him on the big board. I don't know any LASIK companies in Pittsburgh, though. He could be great for marketing. Like when they brought back McCutcheon.
And what is his specialty? Running around and throwing the ball up. You know who else did? Hall of Famer Ben Roethlisberger.
He's in the Hall of Fame, but not my man, Other Manning.
He'll go in with Arch.
I will say that I wouldn't be opposed to having him. I mean, I think he's better than Fields. People might disagree with me.
Well, they're speculating Fields may go to Ohio State or to the Jets.
Goes back to college. They need him back on that 8-year plan. John Belushi.
He got rid. Well, NIL. He's getting regulated. No, but his teammate was with the Jets, so they're like, that may be a natural thing to partner him back up again.
That would be your swap. That's what you would get. You're not going to get Jameis, so just put that aside. You're going to get a Justin Fields for Aaron Rodgers swap, and you're going to like it. And he's up there in Pittsburgh. He has a bunch of conspiracies. Those are in right now. He would be a perfect fit. I think. Aaron Rodgers and whatever else. I don't even know who else to get. Because then you'd get, Devontae Adams and Lazard would just randomly show up and he'd be there. Who does Aaron bring with him?
No, thank you.
He wouldn't have Breece Hall. Najee Harris, dude, he has the same stats every year he's been in the league. Mid. Like 1,000 yards rushing and 7 touchdowns. I looked that up. I don't know why I looked it up. It just magically popped up on my search. It was like Najee Harris stats. And I'm like, yeah, I will look at these. Because I thought maybe it was divine intervention to where I thought, oh my God, his stats are way better than I thought. Maybe I should stop talking trash on him on the show. No, it wasn't like that at all. I was validated. I thought, good grief.
The offensive line has been hot diarrhea.
I don't know. I didn't see Russ throw him under the bus.
That's because that's not the kind of NC guy like him would do.
I honestly,
he probably felt at home because they didn't block for him when he was at NC State either. That's why he went to Wisconsin. He just ran for his life. He's like, oh, I feel like I'm back in Raleigh.
All right, yeah, maybe he'll pitch for the Pirates this year. Go full circle. That would be something they would do, right? Just randomly, he's like their middle relief. Like, what's that movie where that guy comes out? He's like the rookie. He's like 40 years old. Except it'll be enough for him to sell jerseys. If the Steelers would have won like 1 or 2 playoff games, I guarantee the Pirates would have considered that if I pitched it to them. So, like, guys, I got an idea for you. You ever seen that movie, The Rookie? Not the one where the kid falls and he gets a rocket arm. The other one where the old guy comes back. Same movie, but with Russell Wilson. He doesn't have to do anything. He's already in Pittsburgh. He pitches middle relief, maybe closing. I don't know what kind of sandwich. They can't, like the grilly cheese when they had Jason Grilly. I don't know if they can do a promo like that for him. But that's what they would go with it, I think. So that would be a showstopper. I don't think Aaron Rodgers could do that. Aaron Rodgers could come in. Would he sell enough jerseys to keep Pittsburgh fans happy? Do they have a cave for him to go in? The tunnel? Squirrel Hole Tunnel? Put him in there, right? I hate it. I don't think it will work out. So I don't know. I would rather have a Russ and Jameis team up. Although then your boy is going to be back up to Russ all year, I think.
And then Russ will get hurt, and then he'll come right in.
At that point, you might as well bring Tebow back too. have a holy trinity of quarterbacks that we like. That if they're all injured, Tebow comes in and wins them one playoff game. And everyone's like, how is Tebow still winning more playoff games than some of these other QBs out there? Like Herbert. Herbert has like no playoff wins, but Tebow still has one. He should get like a chain that's just a guy holding up like a one finger, and people ask it. He's like, yeah, I won a playoff game. How many of these other guys have never won one? Right? I still don't think, has an Ohio State quarterback ever won a playoff game? Stroud, is that it? I don't think any of it. Or wait, did Tom Zach win one? Or was he from Maryland? I don't know. Some of these other schlub Big Ten quarterbacks now. Although the Maryland guys would have played in the ACC back then. Horrible. Oh, you had some other NFL stuff too, didn't you?
Just it had come out, and this was a while back, but there was like the Bullygate scandal where Miami Dolphins lineman Martin had claimed to be bullied by Richie Incognito, and the story ran for a good while about there being like hazing and bullying in the NFL, and it almost pushed Incognito out entirely. But then, like out of the blue, it just comes out and he's like, "Yeah, that really didn't happen." And it caught me more from there was like no reason to bring it up at this point.
Well, see, that's where I was confused because the media immediately started to attack Incognito again. And he even said, because I think he used the words legacy media, and I think they hate that. Because that's like something that's old, like really, not really supported anymore. And so when he starts saying like, yeah, they just went with whatever he told them. Because I saw a lot of people posting like the recorded audio from like the original where he's like calling them slurs and stuff. And I thought, all right, maybe. But if that's all they had and that was it, like, I don't know what his intent was. Like, was he joking? Was he like a huge jerk? But if he's coming out and saying like, nah, it didn't happen, then that's why I hate like today's media where they can just put the narrative out there. And then you have all kind of stuff happen and you don't know what's true or not. And they're kind of doing it themselves because they don't, fact check? They don't put statements out after the fact.
No.
Because even like Dwayne Haskins' tragic death, we still never got answers to like what he was doing there. Right?
Correct.
They're just kind of like, that's enough of the story. We'll do it as like a tragedy. And that's it. I'm still confused. Like, sometimes like a joke pops in my head and I'm like, I know that's highly inappropriate. Is it too soon to make a Haskins joke? like a chicken cross the road type joke? I don't know. Because I don't know if that's what he was really trying to do. Right? No one knows. Because like the media kind of just tells their side and then goes after it. And then try to make like the Steelers the bad guy or like his family. Like, weren't they fighting with like his fiance or wife and his family? And then kind of just disappears. So some of these other stories coming back, it's not going to make the mainstream like ESPN. I was surprised. I sent you this unrelated to NFL, but Illinois randomly retired the jersey of a basketball player from last year. There was a transfer, right? I only know he was a transfer because he was close to going to Michigan, and they said like he had trouble with transfer credit, so he went to Illinois. To my knowledge, I don't think they won the Big Ten or anything, right? They get to the Elite Eight, so it's not like he took them to a Final Four, and they retire the jersey, but they retire it and hang it upside down while he's there. Like, pure amateur hour. And I thought for sure, like, this story is not going to be anywhere. No, it made the front page of ESPN. Like, how embarrassing for his family to, like, just say, like, hey, yeah, we don't know why they're retiring your jersey anyway. Right? Other good basketball teams have guys that have never been retired. But Illinois, you do what you guys are doing. Just do it correctly. Like, flip it right side up. I'm surprised that, like, some schools like that, and they consider themselves to be like a Michigan rival for some reason. And I'm like, I just don't see it. I don't see it. And it's crazy. But that's part of the media thing. Sometimes you'll see a story. Sometimes you'll get like a half truth. And so I don't know. I the same thing, and this will probably get us canceled for the week, that I had on the list was for the WNBA. Because to my knowledge, they're bleeding money badly. And yet they announce, to great response from the media, that they're going to expand by adding 2 new teams or something like that. Or at least 1, maybe 2 more. So maybe 3 total. And I thought, how? Like, when MLS, we talked about this years ago, they were trying to expand. I was hoping they went into Raleigh. I think they went into Charlotte. Great. The men's national team is specifically helping fund the MLS because they know that, hey, we're doing this for whatever reason. Like, we're expanding the game. WNBA has a golden goose in Caitlin Clark. For whatever reason, they're like fighting her, not taking advantage, and yet ESPN is giving them money as part of like their NBA deal, which is also losing money. And I don't understand why. Like, why is ESPN subsidizing the WNBA and the NBA? And the WNBA, like the NBA owns it like 50%. So I'm wondering if that's what the NBA said in their contract. And it was saying like, hey, you know what? We just need more inventory for ESPN Plus. And so they said, well, we need more WNBA games in the summer. People aren't watching, what's it, the G League? Is that what the summer league is? I can't remember. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Or is it the D League? No, it was the D League, and then they were like, that sounds bad. And I think they changed it to the G League, didn't they? I might be making that up.
I can't remember.
It's something like that. And so I thought, bring the WNBA in there in the summer. ESPN Plus is trying to get pushed everywhere. You can put, I've seen that they've been putting a lot of like softball and what other, baseball. Michigan played Virginia, and it was on ESPN Plus over the weekend. And Good Guys won in big upset. So like you have that, and it's like, all right, I think at this point ESPN just needs content for streaming to stay relevant because they're losing subscribers, college football ratings down, but the WNBA bringing in more salary, more teams instead of making them just play more games doesn't make sense to me, right? Why not just play more games? Heck, they could do double headers if they really wanted to, like baseball. That way you're cutting costs we're not having to do. Pay people for extra days and stuff. I mean, they make money off parking. But bringing in 2 other cities, people aren't going to start watching those other cities on TV. They really only watch Caitlin Clark now.
But what's always struck me as odd with the WNBA is that I feel like for as much of a superstar as Caitlin Clark has been for the WNBA, that they go out of their way to not give her any publicity. And it's like when you look at the attendance records, like it cracks me up because it's like they're at like 30,000, 30,000, 30,000, 75,000. Well, what's different? Oh, that was the night Caitlin Clark was there. But the rest of the weeks were like 30, 40,000 people in attendance. And it's like, so you have this massive sellout spike for one player, and you're just going to write that off like it's not a really big deal.
And that's where I'm surprised that like Angel Reese, right? I was looking it up. She has like the McDonald's deal now. And I'm surprised like that they don't have like a joint deal with Caitlin Clark. At least to my knowledge, I don't see one, right?
Right.
Because like that would be, if you're trying to promote other WNBA, why not have them together? Like the NBA, they got really big because they had Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, right? Two people on different sides of the country. I don't what Caitlin Clark plays like Indiana. I have no idea where Angel Reese plays. I just know that I didn't know that that was her like burger or not her McDonald's meal, right? You probably saw it. I don't know if you saw it like on the ads or whatever. It was like the angel meal. And I'm like, what the heck is the angel meal? Like, is it like angel tree or whatever? And so then it was kind of just like a regular sandwich and maybe a high C or something. But I thought, why not have both? Everywhere people talk about Magic Johnson, you can't talk about Magic Johnson without talking about Larry Bird. It's impossible. They had a championship game, I think, together in college where Magic Johnson beat him, I think he won Michigan State. He went to Michigan State. I think they won the national championship over Indiana State where Larry Bird went. You can look that up, but I'm pretty sure that's where the rivalry started. And then it just escalated up. Very similar to Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Didn't Angel Reese beat them for the national championship?
Yes.
At LSU? Why are they not leaning into this? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And they have people attacking Clark with like just physical play that we've talked about, like Jalen Hurts. I've always kind of liked Hurts. They attack him more than like they let Patrick Mahomes get. And that's very clear. And that's why seeing Hurts win the Super Bowl and being so humble about it, and even seeing interviews after where he's like, look, I'm just focused on winning. And people were showing his record against like the AFC teams, and he has like a ridiculous winning record against AFC teams. Maybe this guy will be the stud. Maybe he can save us from the Patrick Mahomes getting close to Tom Brady. He can be the guy. He's already been to 2 Super Bowls now. That's what we need. You need like a hero and a villain. People are annoyed with Mahomes, so we have a hero and Hurts. Just continue to win, buddy. Until you get to like 4, then I'll be cheering for someone else. I don't know why the NFL even does the same thing with Hurts or whatever, but they like, even Josh Allen, they let him get the crap beat out of him and Lamar. But for Mahomes, they're like, no, you can't do that. Because it's not like Lamar or Allen or Hurts runs more than Patrick Mahomes does out of the pocket. He's not like a physical downhill runner, but he leaves the pocket and does some shady stuff where he's like faking passes and pretending to throw it behind his back and doing weird stuff where he could absolutely get clocked. Because he only gets away with it because he knows that it's not they're not going to call it. And Caitlin Clark doesn't have that protection. So I don't know. I think that the WNBA is making a horrible mistake. And I think the NBA made a horrible mistake too by letting that Luka trade go through. Did you see people were protesting outside the game? And Mark Cuban, Did we talk about it? Mark Cuban was like fighting fans. He's not even like the owner anymore. And so they've been like giving refunds to fans that had season tickets. Like in the middle of the year, they're just giving them full refunds. Can you believe that? Like how outrageous. So other GMs are asking the leagues to investigate it because they're saying like, look, we would have offered more draft picks or whatever. And normally I guess there's like I don't even know if it's an unwritten rule, but normally the NBA lets other teams know whenever a big time player is available for a trade. And they did this behind the scenes and already had the deal signed before it got out.
Well, if my memory serves me correct, I thought like they had made a point in the media to come out like after the deal was done and said like, we didn't even tell LeBron about this until after everything, like the deal was finalized, like because he's been so in with the front office that they're like, we didn't even tell LeBron about this until the deal was done.
Yeah, because he's not friends with Luka. Are you kidding? He's friends with Anthony Davis, and then Anthony Davis got hurt immediately. I don't know if he's back yet, but I think that's what really pissed a lot of fans off. He played one game and got injured, and they said he might be out for months. And I keep seeing more backlash of like more fans are starting to protest at all their games. It's almost like a reverse Pittsburgh Pirates. Now they're saying like the new owner might want to move the team, and he had to come out and say that he's not moving the team. he was disappointed over last year's games, and they were saying that their defense argument was wrong because like they were top 5 in defense last year with Luka when they almost won the championship. So I feel like it's just a big money move. They know they need a team in LA, and I feel like the same with ESPN. If they're expanding, they're not doing it without a sign off from ESPN, which brings up my point for the college football playoffs. The meetings have been happening. I sent you a graph that honestly I don't think it has where it came from. Someone put together the 2 proposals that are getting the biggest traction right now, where if you went to a 16-team playoff compared to a 14-team. So honestly, the teams that really benefit is probably the Big Ten and the SEC. They would go from like 4.5 teams a year to 5, and the Big Ten would have had more. This is going back to like the original playoffs. If they went to the new format, the Big Ten would have had 59 teams in. The SEC would have had 55. Big 12 would have been next at 27. But remember, Texas and Oklahoma are out of there. So they're not going to get anywhere near 27. Like, who are we kidding? And then the ACC would have had 24. ACC really didn't lose anybody, right? They're just losing money.
Yeah, they're just losing money.
So they could get more. I mean, they added SMU that got in, and Stanford and some of those other teams. So I honestly think you're going to see a swap where it's Big Ten, SEC, ACC. Big 12 fans, you could fight me later, but you can't lose your 2 big dogs and then expect to get a playoff team. They were getting two almost 2.5 teams a year in this format going back to the old 10 years ago. They're not going to have Texas and Oklahoma. So I would cut that down to maybe 1.5, if that. Same with ACC. They were getting 2 teams in if this format, most likely Clemson and Florida State at the beginning. Lately, it would have been just Clemson still? Florida State kind of fell off. Who picked up their pay? Like, I don't think anyone picked up their slack. SMU, when they came in, maybe Miami would have got a break. It's not listing out the team, so I don't know. And then Notre Dame would have got 7 appearances, almost up to like a half a year, which to me is ridiculous. Because Notre Dame always gets their ass smacked. They never compete. I mean, this year they competed to the championship game and then got smacked. So maybe if they stick with the 14-team playoff, which is what the main proposal was, they were trying to get away from 12 to go to 14. So it's either going to stay as it is at 12 with maybe reseeding, 14-team or 16-team. 14-team isn't much difference, to be honest, for the ACC and the Big 12. It's a little bit less for Notre Dame because they're usually on the bubble because their schedule's weak. The key part of this, though, is the agreement for more teams. It's 100% done by Fox and ESPN right now. Their agreement that if they do this deal where the Big Ten and the SEC gets automatic bids, the SEC goes to a 9-game schedule, and the Big Ten and SEC do a crossover game for the 10th game. And then they would have 2 warm-up games. So guess what games are never getting played again? Iowa, Iowa State. Pitt, Penn State. Penn State, West Virginia. Michigan versus Notre Dame. Gonzo. USC versus Notre Dame. Gonzo. Michigan State versus Notre Dame. Gone. What other crossover ones? Clemson, South Carolina. Gone. Florida, Florida State. Gone. Georgia, Georgia Tech. Gone. There's no way those teams are going to face another big-time team. And, I mean, granted, most of the time Georgia's beating Georgia Tech. They've been getting played close, though. You're not going to play that game and then have Georgia play a crossover game with, like, Penn State or something and then play one cupcake. It's not going to happen. So I am excited about that. I see a lot of people saying, well, the regular season won't matter. This, to me, goes back to pre-BCS, where if you look at some of, like, Michigan schedules, we're playing, like, Colorado, playing, like, who knows, USC, like, random teams. Florida State's playing in the big house. Miami is on Penn State. Like, you're seeing teams play big time crossover games that we get some this like now, but they're like what, neutral site games? Michigan plays Florida and like Georgia, or Florida State plays Alabama somewhere else. You know, you're not getting a true home and home. And this format, we would get the home and home. So I'm excited about that. I am sad that some of these teams are left out, but I almost wonder if the TV networks get what they want and you get the 10-game schedule. The next on the chopping block is that they're going to want a guaranteed game against the ACC and the Big 12 too. Now, whether 1 year Big 10 has an ACC crossover and the SEC gets to Big 12 and then they flip, then we might see some traditional rivalries brought back, but it's not going to be every year. And I think that would just be because, honestly, Big 12 and the ACC, Fox and ESPN kind of split their carriages. So it makes sense early in the year whenever they're like, all right, what game are we showing today, boys? Ohio State versus Miami of Ohio, or Michigan versus Eastern Michigan? And you're like, who has a lower point spread? 25 versus 21. That's what we're getting, the 21 game. How many people are going to watch? 2 million. Awesome. Where if they're saying like, all right, well, now Michigan has to play Louisville or something, then you're like, all right, that could be interesting, right? Better than watching them play Eastern Michigan. I mean, no offense. I would still like to keep one of the Michigan games. Central Michigan, they've done a lot for our program. And Connor Stallions. Just kidding. Don't bring me into the NCAA to testify. I will say that Notre Dame here, if they sign off on this, they have to be insane. Because like USC is not going to keep them on the schedule. They're almost going to be getting a glorified ACC and Big 12 schedule and hoping that they take one of the at-large bids away from them. Do you agree?
I would say probably.
I see no other way around it. I think we still have some other things to sort out too, where does a 9-game schedule even make sense in a super conference team? Because it kind of goes back to what I've wanted all along, is like some type of pod system. Now, ideally for a 9-game schedule, that was what, 20 team I said? Where you would have 5-team pods. The Big Ten and the SEC are already almost there. So there's not a lot of open spots if that's kind of where they land. The Big Ten could take Notre Dame and like whoever they want. Pitt, Miami, someone random, Boston College. The Big Ten cares not about teams that are good. They care about, all right, where are our guys going to be? Honestly, if it was that and they said we had to pick 2 teams, who would you take? If it was me, I would take Notre Dame and Florida State. Why? Florida is the most valuable recruiting ground. It's a natural fit for whatever. If you're not going to get Florida, you're not going to take Miami because Miami hasn't been good. And if you want to bring the state with you, you have to have the name Florida in it. That's just personal preference to me. It would be like, I mean, nothing against like TCU, but like if the Big Ten said, you know what, we don't want, like Notre Dame's giving us, they're saying no. So we're going to take one team in Florida. We take Florida. Like if they took TCU in Miami, that would be weird. Like if you're taking a team in Texas and one in Florida, you'd take Florida State and Texas Tech or something. Unless Texas A&M wants to come along for a ride. But I don't know. Do they stop at 20? I feel like it's going to keep going. It's accelerating so fast that they have to hit a tipping point. TV ratings, bad. Okay, we have to fix it. We have to fix it right now. Because that was an awful playoff. Everyone hated it. Which is funny that's the year Ohio State won. People remember like, yeah, that was an awful year where everything was crappy. And a 2-loss team. No, not even a conference champ, nothing. Not even a rivalry winner was national champ. People have to hate that. So now you have this monstrosity. Will it be better? I don't know. But we see what the big money's doing to college basketball. SEC has so many top teams now, and the Big Ten's not far behind. ACC has like what, 3 teams I saw in the latest prediction? Only 3 teams that are guaranteed in the tournament as of right now. How the hell is that possible? The ACC was like the greatest basketball conference for like what, 20 years?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I was shocked because I was like looking to see what the Big Ten was guaranteed in the latest like bracketology, and they had like teams way down the Big Ten list with like Maryland and some other ones that I thought, oh, they got to be on the bubble a little bit, and they only had 3 ACC teams. It was like Duke and Clemson and someone else, I thought, and I thought, man, that's insane. They have 18 teams in that conference. You can't tell me that they can't have. Doesn't a conference normally get like 6 or 7 teams at minimum? They don't have anyone locked in yet. It's already almost over. So that's my. Those are the things I think I had for the show. I'll check my notes real quick. Anything else you wanted to talk about today?
Just you'd said about the auto bids and scheduling, and I think it's a catch-22 because on one hand, with like the schools like the Big 12 and the ACC having 2 automatic bids, it almost puts more emphasis to not play a competitive schedule. Because I think, like, on one hand, I would like to see playing the cross rivals and playing a harder schedule. And even if you have some early season losses or something because of the cross games, like I would hate to see like this Alabama game upcoming for Florida State be replaced with a Division III school or something stupid that like is meaningless. Because in the event that you lose, then you really lose all your credibility. But you also frame it so that you're just aligning yourself for one of those 2 spots. If there's other teams within the conference that aren't playing a competitive schedule or trying to find the harder Power 5, Power 2 schools to match up with, because like if you're in the Big Ten right now, like you can lose 2-3 games and still be in the conversation. If you're not 1 or 2 in the ACC, you're not getting in. Like your margin of error is so much less. Or if you're in the Big 12 and you're not one of the top 2 teams, you're not getting in. So I think it places a little bit more pressure on these other schools that they don't have the flexibility to say, let's have this competitive style of scheduling, because your margin of error is already is cut in half just at the start of the year. You're not getting 4 teams in. You're getting they're establishing you're getting 2, if that.
And so that's where I'm thinking that what they're looking at right now is if they see the 2 auto bids, you can't do a conference championship game. Like, you're going to kill yourself. This year, SMU was undefeated in conference. They lose to Clemson. Yeah, that puts Clemson in. But you're going to, put SMU in that just lost? Like, that's going to be a weird dynamic. Like, if the ACC continues with only a conference championship game and you're giving them 2 auto bids, how do you pick? Because you could very easily have had Clemson win to get the auto bid, and then SMU tied with like Miami or something that just lost because of head-to-head, and then they get jumped, which is what SMU's coach is saying like last year, like, we could have just opted out. And I almost wonder if you go back to the Big Ten showcase idea that they had during COVID, does the conference champ just auto get the championship like put on them? So like last year, Oregon would have been the conference champ. They would have had the perceived bye because they wouldn't have played in championship week. It wouldn't have been the layoff that they had to endure last year. They would have had a better seed, played a better team, and then the Big Ten showcase would have been like Penn State, Ohio State, Illinois, Iowa, like whatever the teams were that were close, to kind of see who's going to get that second bid. Because who else was in there? Indiana would have been the other one. Where, yeah, you have a showcase for them to get in. But again, like Indiana had done enough to get in. With the showcase last year, them not playing in the showcase helped them. In the regular season, they dodged like a lot of great teams. They didn't play Penn State in them, or even Oregon, I don't think. I forget who they lost to. But like they only played one tough team and they lost. So would a showcase have hurt them? Yeah, maybe. But as a team, you have to know that showcase is your ticket in. I don't know if that's what they're discussing, because right now they're still trying to figure out what it is. But I wouldn't be shocked if it goes to 16 teams and there's 2 auto bids per conference, we see some type of just regular season champion back in the days of like old school, where teams like, hey, 3 Big Ten teams win that Big Ten championships, and you go back and look and it's like, hey, Northwestern won a Big Ten championship. Oh, they were tied with Michigan and Ohio State. Like, great for marketing for them, right? But in terms of like perception or like knowledge to regular fans, they're never going to bet on them to be better than the other 2. So I think it's kind of like a mixed bag. Maybe more access for some smaller teams. I think they're just naturally going to get a softer schedule with the expanded conference. You can't play all the top teams every year. Some teams you're going to get that and you're going to get screwed. And it's going to be awful if you're a fan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan had like the toughest Big Ten schedule last year, went 7-5. Would their schedule have been any different? I mean, they beat Ohio State, but they beat USC, but they dropped a couple other teams. Plus, they played Texas in offseason. If they were 8-4 last year, they would have been close to the playoffs. If they were 9-3, they probably would have been in the playoffs, or right there with the Bama discussion of first team out. And then what? You don't know. So like, but if everyone's playing the same, that's when I think we're going to start to see where a team going undefeated in the regular season is going to be very, very rare. I just think that if they do, then there's a good chance they're going to win the national championship. But that's my final thought. Anything else you want to talk about, or anything I missed today?
No, I think that's about it.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for listening. Looks like the new video stuff paid off, so hopefully we can start to get some of these live streams out there while we're doing it, help spread the show. So if you have any friends, let them know. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.